and welcome to the introduction of the Over Underrated podcast. It is I, Fran. I'm just here to say hello, thank you for downloading. And our podcast is about us discussing two acts. One we will ask, are they overrated? And the other we will ask, are they underrated? We will have two playlists with 5 tracks on each, and we will discuss each song and then at the end come to our conclusion. This was an interesting chat because we had previously discussed doing this with a guest, but the guest, Pop Underrated, couldn't make it, so we decided to go ahead anyway because we spent a long time researching it. So enjoy, and I will be back after the pod for a goodbye.
Welcome to the Over Underrated podcast with Fran and Babs. Is it over or underrated?
And welcome back to another episode of Over Underrated with your co-host Fran, my other co-host Babs. How are you doing today, Babs?
I am good, thank you. Drinking rosé port wine today.
Love your stuff. I'm drinking Wessex water, tap water.
Ooh, hardcore.
They've just doubled the price of the water, the bastards.
Oh, water in England, a touchy subject.
We're an island, but we can't get water right. Anyway, moving on. So we are a lovely podcast discussing music. We have many, many episodes going through the years, including Oasis, Radiohead, Depeche Mode,
Shed 7,
and P. Diddy. So don't cancel us.
Before we knew.
Today we will be discussing pop singers from the noughties. I guess that's a theme, is it? Maybe
Pop Singer-Songwriters Part 2 is what I've written.
There you go. Part 2.
Then we can have a Part 2. Yeah.
What's Part 1?
Billie Eilish and Charlie XCX, which you should also listen to. For sure.
Yeah, guys, we're talking before Charlie had her brat summer, so you know.
Before Charlie influenced political discourse. But you can listen to our special episode on Brat as well.
And if you really want to, you can see us doing the Apple dance on social media.
Oh, yeah.
I believe.
Unless
we deleted that.
No, it's still up there.
Okay.
I almost went to learn the guest dance because there is a guest dance, but then I was like, no, I can't be doing this. It's that thing of like, if other people do it, I would do it. I knew that you would join me, but it was quite funny because I had like a friend of mine comment. She's like, oh, I want to do it, but I'm not sure. And I was like, join me, Lara, join me. But alas, she didn't.
I can't think of any specific dance moves from our people today. We've got Pink as possibly overrated, and we have Annie as possible underrated, but I can't think of any dance routines, to be fair, of either.
Well, Pink is famous for like throwing herself across the stage and doing all the acrobatics. So yes, I'm not about to go and train with a Cirque du Soleil to learn some Pink moves. And Annie, I think, is too underrated potentially to have some dances, but it doesn't mean that I think her music is ripe for them. Definitely some of the tracks we'll be discussing.
And I can mime myself chewing gum. Is that some sort of dance routine?
Yeah.
You can do it set down, standing up. You know.
Tend to be chewing some gum. I'm doing a little action here. That's quite appalling, to be honest.
Lovely stuff.
But you can't see it, so that's good.
So we always start by asking each other what music we've currently been listening to. So Babs, what's on your playlist at the moment?
So throwback, thanks to YouTube suggesting it on my homepage this morning, I've been listening to a lot of Late of the Pier that we've mentioned before. I was thinking how, like, because of their output, it's like technically they might be my favorite band of all time, just because, you know, they released one album. I quite like the other singles. But no, I probably not, because they don't have enough output. But yeah, God, I love them. And I've been listening to Blueberry on repeat because I just absolutely love that ending. I was talking to you, Fran, about the fact I went to see a music documentary over the weekend. Belgian singer Arno, who's amazing, and he was in a band called TC Matic that had some hits that might have made it to the English-speaking world. If not, you should check it out. And what's interesting, I don't know if you have this, I've finally more substantially started getting music advertised to me on Instagram. So not concerts, but actual kind of bands. Go and listen to the album. So most recently, I had a band called District 5 from Switzerland and another band called Love on Tour recommended to me. And then I went and checked out the songs and I was like, oh, this is really good. So yeah, it's interesting because you really have to kind of like the 3 seconds that you listen to as you're scrolling past. but yeah, they're two of the latest ones. And I'll finish with, because we were also talking about the Olympics, I've been listening to Isolde, who sang the very memorable My Way at the end of the closing ceremony. Her album Mental just came out on Friday, and it's like genre blending madness, and her voice is out of this world. So yeah, that's me. How about you?
So I have listened to Jade from Little
Yes,
Mix with
Angel of
Angel
My
of My Dreams.
Dreams.
It's a bang, isn't it?
What a song. What a song.
What else? I've had a bit of Vampire Weekend, a bit of Shed 7.
Newer stuff, older stuff, bit of everything.
Yeah, they've done a polishing their old material. It's called Liquid Gold. They've added some orchestras and they've done remixes. And they've done a song which wasn't a single called Waiting for the Catch with a singer called Izzy Ferris, which is pretty decent. I've got some Halsey on here, some Pixies, some Linkin Park. Quite like the
I
new
haven't
single.
heard about the new vocalist yet. Is she good?
She is very good. There's different opinions online, but
Of course.
I think the new single's decent. It sounds like Linkin Park, so bands are allowed to move on. It's fine by me.
We've had bands who've changed singers. We've discussed Marillion and bands like that before.
Yep, and New Dad and Mercury Prize winners.
English
What they call
teacher.
English teacher. I was scrolling from with R&Bs on my playlist. So there you go.
Yeah, as I messaged you, I have a bass Instagram account that is very inactive a lot of the time, but I really got it in my head to learn R&B on bass, and it is one of the hardest bass lines I've ever learned in my life. But it's very satisfying to play. And yeah, the album is really great. I'm really glad they won. In a way, like maybe I shouldn't be surprised that Charlie XCX didn't win, because it isn't the most popular. But yeah, I feel like they are the kind of band that people who into the same kind of music that we were in the mid-noughties should like, and maybe they're not listening to new music as much, so now they will, which is good.
Hopefully, and apparently guitar music's back.
Isn't it? I mean,
Apparently,
it all goes in waves, doesn't
for
it?
how long? For how long? And now we obviously have Oasis, so
Oh,
guitar music is definitely back.
I despair. Like, did you read that Simon Price article slagging them off, which I
Yeah.
loved every second
Did you
of?
see Liam Gallagher singing at the boxing on the weekend?
No, I didn't. What was
He's,
it? What happened?
I think people realise he's not the greatest singer of all time anymore. People are going, I just spent £500. I didn't realise that Liam Gallagher cannot sing anymore. Fuck. Like,
Is his voice really bad?
no, but he hasn't sang well for like 20 years. I don't know. He's not exactly an opera singer. He's Liam Gallagher. So yeah,
I
if
mean,
you've
it's
heard
liquid
Oasis,
nostalgia though, isn't
I
it?
know.
Like the thing with Oasis. And yeah, I'm gonna say that Oasis have some of the worst fans in the world. Come at me. I just saw so many gatekeepery, like, if you weren't alive when Oasis, it's obviously like new Oasis fans, like, if you weren't alive, you shouldn't go for tickets. And I'm like, this is why I hate them. Like, I think that is it. I mean, as discussed on our first episode, guys, go back and listen to that.
It is a strange thing, isn't it? Why people have to, prove themselves as being more of a fan than you. It's like, it's like people saying that, oh, I'm more religious than you. I deserve a place in heaven. It's like, well, it's like when you go to see, a legacy band and a legacy act, and they've got like people wearing the t-shirt they bought in 1982 to prove that they were a fan before you are, so they should be near the front or something. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. Luckily, when I first got into music, and I started to go and see like bands like Duran Duran and Aha and Depeche Mode, and I was maybe a generation or two below the original age. Luckily, no one really was like sneering at me. I think people were quite welcoming that it had a new generation coming through. So I don't know why Oasis fans hate anyone under 30 liking their music. It's a bit ridiculous.
Like, I saw this, is it a thread of threads? I don't even know, like, as in, subsequent threads on threads of this woman being like, I went to an Oasis gig in the 90s. It was one of the best gigs ever, but like the misogyny and the way I was gripped was just horrendous. I think it is this kind of lad culture. Again, hashtag not all Oasis fans.
Overrated.
Yeah, we're discussing two pop acts. We have Pink as overrated, and we have Annie as underrated. And that was the choice of Pop Underrated on Twitter and YouTube for inspiring us to those choices. They can't make it today, but we will continue regardless because we've done the research. So starting off, we're going to be chatting about Pink. So Babs, have you seen Pink live? Do you own any Pink, or is she just trouble?
Love it. I have not seen Pink live. I think I own burned CDs by Pink. I'd have to
Mm-hmm.
actually check. I'm turning around. Um, yeah, I think I have actually two burnt copies of Misunderstood by
Mm-hmm.
Pink, which was an important album for my tween to teenage self. But yes, Pink. So I think she was quite an important pop star for a lot of girls my age. I am now 37, because it was just quite obvious that she wasn't your average like hyper femme, hyper girlified pop star. So that definitely resonated. And I don't know if you saw that video of her talking about her daughter's self-esteem that went viral a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remember kind of back in the day, there was this TV show, I can't remember which one, Dolce and Gabbana or like some designers, they were commenting on pop stars. And when Pink came on, they were like, "Oh yeah, she's so fat, blah blah blah." And you were like, "Wow, no wonder, no wonder so many people have so many messed up relationships with their bodies." So yeah, you had this idea also through her music that she's like, yeah, not your average pop star, something a bit different. But yeah, before preparing for this, I don't think I'd ever really seen an interview with her or anything. So I watched her 60 Minutes interview from 2023, which was very interesting. Found out she has a vineyard and she's on the Parent Teacher Association of her children's school. Um, she also seemed to have this kind of like take no shits attitude, which came across already back in the day. And then, yeah, I have some quotes now. She said, "I never got a record deal because I was cute. I got one because I was fiery. I'm relieved I don't have to fall back on conventional beauty. I like to go against societal norms." In 2003, when she was talking about how she changed from kind of more R&B to kind of more, let's say, mainstream, all on out pop. She said, "I have to do this. It's in me. It's in my heart. If I don't get it out, I'm going to self-destruct. I'm not going to be here to make another one of his stupid albums, blah, blah, blah." But she is also a bit cringe. I found when kind of listening to her talk about herself, she's like, "I'm eclectic, I'm a tomboy, I'm kind of a hippie and a gangster." And when she was talking about Just Like a Pill, she's like, "This one's very dark and artsy, and I have black hair, which is very fun." And I'm like, all right. Um, so I quite enjoyed her R&B pop right at the beginning. And Misunderstood was, yeah, a seminal album, a pretty good pop album. But apart from Feel Good Time, I have pretty much tapped out of Pink since the mid 2000s. So I'm sure there's more songs for me to get into, and that's what I'm hoping this playlist will do. So, Fran, do you like Pink or are you more so what?
I have seen Pink live.
Oh, with the acrobatics or not?
It was Isle of Wight 2010, so it wasn't,
Oh,
and
already.
she was just before Paul McCartney, but she still did the full circus act. So she did the whole,
Wow.
like, she jumped from like a box down to stage, and she was doing the whole singing whilst doing the trapeze around the whole of the audience. It was rather spectacular. One of the best shows I may have seen, maybe,
Oh,
regarding
interesting.
like stuff going on happening, especially for
Hmm.
like someone who's not headlining festival to still do all that was quite impressive. Yeah, I don't even remember the first album. I'm not the biggest R&B pop fan.
There you go. Looking pitiful just because I let you go. So yeah, that came out from nowhere.
But I did
Uh,
purchase on CD Misunderstood.
yes, it's a good album,
So
isn't it?
so so I do own that, and I do own the best of Pink. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
may know more, and I think, yeah, when Spring is out an album, I do, check out a couple of songs. I quite like the album from last year. I've watched the Amazon documentary of Pink when
Hmm.
she's touring around the UK. Yeah, she I guess, you know, I guess she's more of the more approachable big acts. I guess in the way she's
Hmm.
a bit, she's a bit more down to earth than others. No, she's been, discussing mental health and GBTQ rights for a long time.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's always wanting to perform as much as possible. I think she's really injured herself, and she puts herself at risk a lot of times doing concerts, which is, quite brave. Yeah, she said that she would go to loads of Broadway shows and then wanted to bring that onto the music scene. She does have a wine. I don't have it written there.
Yeah.
She's
But
one
she
of
doesn't
the.
make rosé, which I'm
Oh
like,
my
come on,
goodness.
man.
Oh
Come
dear.
on.
She's sold over 60 million albums. Not too bad. And she's the UK's most played female artist. of
In
the
the UK,
trend.
really?
Yeah, there we go. So there you go.
Wow.
There's some fun facts for
Not
you
looking
there.
pitiful there, yeah.
And recently, she met Brett Goldstein. I noticed.
I saw those pictures as well. Yeah, of them on
So,
their phones.
so
Yeah.
her life is complete. So yeah, I made a playlist of just 5 songs scattered across her back catalogue, and we're going to start by discussing "Just Like a Pill."
I remember this one well. It was in my music television having era. So I very much remember the music video. I do think it feels like a very 2000s song. Drugs are bad, people, and I'm here very depressed. Even though fair play, she does seem to have struggled with drugs. She overdosed it in 1995 at a rave. I quite like this song as a kind of rock ballad, but I do think that Get the Party Started and Don't Let Me Get Me are better singles from this album. But yeah, putting this song on the list made me go and listen to the album again, and I became completely obsessed with, again, I'd completely forgotten about it, Numb. Do you remember that song
No,
from
I
Listen to
don't
It?
remember them.
You've made me so numb, I don't feel much for you anymore. I think it
Hmm.
was like one of my most played whenever we did the prep for this the first time because people had the curtain. We were delayed. We were meant to record this a few months ago. Yeah, what a banger. That's maybe my favorite song on the album now, even like surpassing Get the Party Started. So I think it's decent. It's very nostalgic for me. But yeah, I'm not, my jaw's not on the floor. How about you?
Regarding Get the Party Started, I always hear the Shirley Bassey version in my head.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I can't knock it. So yeah, this changed it for me. I think this was the first song I heard from that album.
Hmm.
No, well, yeah, no, although Get the Party Started might be the first single, I think this was the first one I remember thinking, oh, this is actually pretty decent. Yes, they moved on from her previous sound. It's got a great bridge and a chorus that is perfect for stadiums. So many comments about how therapeutic this is for many, many people.
Good,
And
good,
uh,
good.
and I love a video with somebody running. And believe it, Pink
Here we go. Yeah, I
Pink is
think.
running along to this. Yes, please. So yeah, like Just Like a Pill for me would be in her top 10 songs. It is
Okay.
a banger, but there must be other words of bangers. I need to.
But how do you feel about Don't Let Me Get Me? Do you like that song?
Yeah, it's the toss up between Don't Let Me Get Me and this for the best song on the album. I would say. What else do we have on that? Dear Diary,
No.
Family
I quite like
Portrait,
My Vietnam.
forgotten
Uh
all about that.
yeah, again, I remember really liking it at the time and then went and listened to it again. And even though I'm like, it is a strange expression that Americans use when it's like, oh, this is my Vietnam. It just feels a bit superficial when you're talking about a war where so many people died. But anyway, leave the geopolitics for another time.
And we have Respect featuring Scratch. Was that an artist who was big in 2001 we've forgotten
I
about?
actually cannot remember that
Really?
song at all either. So.
I think it was a pretty decent album, but yeah, Just Like a Pill or Don't Let Me Get Me for me were equal bangers. But yeah, so moving on to 2003 with the song Trouble. Are you a fan?
I am not a fan. I had actually kind of forgotten about this song. I find it annoying and repetitive, even though her voice sounds fantastic. And how she goes from kind of the control, I'm trouble to.
Mm.
I did not know it was co-written by a problematic Tim Armstrong from Rancid, and that it won her first Grammy.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you've written this down that Shakin' Stevens did a cover version of this.
I have not heard that. Damn it. I missed out on Shaky.
And Armstrong also recorded the song as under the name Tim Time Bomb. So I enjoyed
Ah.
finding out those facts more than I enjoyed listening to this song again.
I don't mind this. It does sound like a bit like Avril Lavigne could have sang this.
Mm.
It could have even been an early Girls Aloud single. I
Oh, they would have done a
thought
better.
trouble. Da, da, da,
They
da.
would have done a better job, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I say I could cover it. Jeremy Hawkeye Rayner is in the video. He went on to be the Avenger.
Oh, right. Okay. Is
Yeah,
he?
there we
I
go.
can't remember this. Okay.
It's like a
Okay.
Wild West themed video when
Mhm.
artists had big budgets for music videos. Yeah. I put it down. Yeah. Is this as rocky as she went? I don't know if she's done anything as rocky as this before since.
Well, I think one of the other songs on the playlist is
Really,
also a bit
really.
rocky. Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't mind it. The album I think was a bit of a flop,
Hmm.
but she came back later on with more hits. So moving on to What About Us? Are you a fan of the Pink ballad?
So I don't know how much I had heard this song before listening to it on this place. It did sound familiar, but I don't know from where I would have heard the song. I don't listen to the
Mm.
radio very much. I was like, okay, Pink is getting with the times. It's a bit EDM infused, which is why I was surprised that it was co-written by Johnny McDaid from Snow Patrol. It's fine. I think it would be a perfect song for Eurovision these days. And it is meant to be a bit more political, but the lyrics leave me really dry. We are problems that want to be solved. We are children that need to be loved. We were willing. We came when you called, but man, you fooled us. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too David Guetta football montage for me.
Hands in the air.
It's a little bit Coldplay-esque at times. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, this Johnny McDaid. Snow Patrol have released a new album.
Okay.
I
No
was just
idea.
I was having a little wiki through through
Oh, a
the
cheeky little wiki.
a little wiki, and Johnny
About
joined
to
in
say,
in
a little
20
wiki with your dickhead. Sorry.
a little wiki
Wiki
wow.
with your dickhead. Wild Wild West.
And yeah, Johnny McDaid joined Snow Patrol in 2011. So he's not an original member, but he also seems to write all the songs with Ed Sheeran. So I don't really know why he's in the Snow Patrol at all. He seems to not
traveling musician.
Yeah. My favorite YouTube comment on this song is, I'd like to go back in time to our forefathers who created America and show them this song. What?
Right. So to the colonizers, yeah.
What about us?
This is what happens when the lyrics are that bland and meaningless. Okay, like this is, listen, let's not influence the right wing.
So moving on, getting back in time to 2008 with the Fun House, bringing back the fun. But what should bring back the fun for you, perhaps in 2008? But say what?
Unfortunately not. I think this is one of the most annoying pop songs of all time. I remember it being everywhere, me being like, ah. I do appreciate the fuck you-ness of responding to a breakup. So I appreciate the hell out of the intent, and especially the fact I had forgotten about this, where it's like when she wrote it, she'd broken up with her husband, but by the time they did the music video, they were back together and he's still in it. It's like, yeah, okay, let's still talk about this. I didn't know that it was co-written by Max Martin. I would say, yeah, this is also for me a little bit rocky, even though I'm like, maybe it's more the attitude than the actual instruments thinking about it. But yeah, when she talks about being a rock star with rock moves, I've written, I roll my eyes to infinity. No, I really don't like this song.
I wonder who Drum Boy is. I remember mentioning I'm hanging out with Drum Boy. Like, it's like, was that, did she have a
Dave
fling?
Grohl?
Did she have a fling with Dave Grohl? Yeah, I find the nursery rhyme melody annoying. But the chorus is what it is. It's a na 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 anthemic electric glimmers, and yeah, it's one of her more annoying songs. But I guess when I was at the gig, I was singing along to this massively. But yeah,
yes, I'm sure it's a good one to sing along to with a crowd.
But yeah, I would skip this normally. It's not in my top 5 Pink tracks. And then I tried to find a song I have no recollection of at all, which was True Love featuring Lily Allen from 2013. Do you remember this coming out?
I do not remember this at all. So this was new to me. I was fairly into it until the chorus. I thought the chorus was so saccharine. I never pronounced that word. But I loved Lily Allen's part, and I think her voice fits the song better. And actually, I think that's a lot of the problem with these songs. Like, Pink has a very strong voice, which is great, but I think sometimes the voice just dominates too much, or when it's the voice and such a simple melody and that's all you can focus on, it feels like it's I don't know, it's not elegant pop, or like I don't even know how to describe it. But yeah, I saw that Greg Kirsten co-wrote it. He's written a lot of stuff I like. We've discussed him. Really like Bird and the Bee that he did as well. But yeah, I would like to see the kind of roles reversed and Lily Allen do the main bit and Pink do the featuring bit.
Yeah, I want to know, like, why did you pick Lily Allen? Because she only sings like what one line at the end. That's because she was popular in those days. She wanted to.
Or maybe it's the whole like same label. Who knows?
She does like to have a lot of collaborations, doesn't she, on her albums? In the same album, she did a song with Nate Roos. Anyone?
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either.
And Eminem. You know who he is. But yeah, for me, it's, I guess, Plastic Pink. Doesn't really do a lot. Bouncy, upbeat, run the mill. The video is also very, very not Pink. It doesn't seem to match at all. And yeah, this was a very forgettable single. Even this whole album is called The Truth About Love. I think I remember Try, and that's maybe it from the whole entire album. I don't even remember the song with Eminem, Here Comes the Weekend. Remember that?
Do you know, it's like I feel like I have gone to listen to it, but I can't remember what it sounds like, if that makes sense.
Dan, does she need so many collaborations? But I am a fan of Feel Good with Beck and William Orbit.
That's what I was about to say. Feel Good Time with William Orbit, that was meant to be a Beck song, and he gave it to her. That's great. And as someone who quite enjoyed Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, and the first one, which is very unlike me. It's not usually my kind of films at all. I remember the music video well, and it fits perfectly with the film. That feels much more Pink and badass as well. Her running away from explosions and stuff.
Trustful, the album from last year, and the single Trustful is pretty decent. Although it's more than the old EDM Pink rather than the guitars of Pink. I think she's a decent pop star who's been going for 25 years now and hasn't really made any stinkers. She's a great live act, always gives the most to the fans. Overrated. 60 million is a lot of albums.
So what's interesting as well is, we prepared for this a few months ago, and now I've gone again. So when I looked, she was 112th in the world. She's now 100th in the world. So she's the 100th most listened to artist in the world, going via Spotify. Yeah, going on this playlist, absolutely, totally overrated. But I know that I can make a playlist of 5, probably 10 songs by Pink easy. I think I think for her cultural impact, I actually don't think she is overrated, because I don't think there are many pop stars like her. Her attitude, her looks, even like you said, the fact she's like the circus act as well. It's like I guess somewhere between burlesque and pop, and the fact that she clearly, the music that she wants to do seems to be some music that she wants to do, or areas that she wants to explore. That's very nice. But musically, every time I've kind of gone away from what I know already, I haven't liked. But it doesn't mean to say that there aren't good songs out there. So yes, listeners, if you know good Pink songs that you think are maybe underrated for us to listen to, let us know.
Well, let's look at the other her contemporaries. So let's look at Britney Spears,
Katy Perry,
Christina Aguilera, Katy Perry, Avril Lavigne. Is it Laverne or Lavigne? Lavigne. I think Pink's above them for me. I think I prefer more Pink songs than Britney Spears.
No, Britney Spears,
really?
All the way. Like Britney Spears, because that's it. It's like she had bangers from the Max Martin bangers at the beginning, but then she had the even like Work Bitch and stuff like that later on that were really good. Like there's good Britney songs in every era. And when I went to see her live, she played a lot of songs from Circus that I didn't know that were really good, that I then got into. Like she's got good album tracks as well.
I'm not a fan of Toxic, by the way.
No, overplayed? Or just
I think Toxic similar to Can't Get Out of My Head by Kylie. I never got it.
It's a bad thing.
I never got like either song. I don't know. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. Excuse me as I gather my.
But I am trying to think. Is there a noughties female pop star who? But she's 2009, so she's kind of
I know.
I think that she may be the best for me. I'm right in if I've forgotten someone. Yeah, I know. I think she's I don't think I've ever really hated anything Pink's released or anything, or she's never done anything troubling for me. So I would say she's rated.
Okay, interesting. No, for me, musically, definitely overrated. But that's not to say that she doesn't have, as you say, a 10 or 20 track playlist in there. That's good.
And that was Pink.
That's the end of part 1.
Hey, I'm Paula Wiseman, and I'm the host of the Divine Comedians podcast. If you're a fan of comedy like me, then I think you might like to check out my Divine Comedians podcast. In the past, we've had some amazing and hilarious guests, including Jack Doherty, Graham Fellows, Arthur Matthews, Charlie Higson, to name but a few, and loads of others. You can listen on Spotify, Acast, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Underrated.
So, welcome back to part 2. from a singer who has sold 60 million plus records to a singer that only has, I noticed, 155,000 Spotify singers. Annie.
Annie.
Oi, oi, oi.
I remember literally one song from Annie, and that was Chewing Gum, which isn't on the playlist, and that was literally it. So yeah, when Pop Underrated chose Annie as the underrated pick, I was like, shit, yeah, Annie. And I thought, does she have enough material to make a playlist? And it turns out she has made 3 albums. One was only recently, was it 2020 or something, 2021 maybe?
2020, yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know that she was a DJ back in the 90s and had like an underground hit with Greatest Hits written by her ex who passed away, I think, 2001. And then, yeah, she was like going to be this big, cool artist. And then, yeah, I remember the album at work, and I remember hearing Chewing Gum on the radio and then completely forgot all about her. How about you?
So, like you, I knew Chewing Gum, loved Chewing Gum. For me, an almost perfect pop song. I had listened to other songs from that album, Animal, and I had 2 other songs saved that I had completely forgotten about. So I'd saved her song with Richard X, Crush, and I'd saved Antonio brackets, the Berlin Breakdown version. I listened to them before this recording. I could remember them. They were good, different vibes. So Crush is like very minimal guitar like, while Antonio not sounding a million miles away from Kavinsky. But yeah, so I knew she was Norwegian. I knew she had a partner who she had collaborated with, but I didn't realize actually that I knew that he died young, but I didn't realize he died before her debut album, which is like, yeah, that must have been difficult. I think she really reminds me of Little Boots, who I think is definitely an underrated artist in my view. I saw Little Boots as part of Dead Disco playing guitar back in the late noughties, maybe in East London, looking very cool. And it was really weird to then see her in a totally different look and vibe a few years later. But anyway, I discovered her in 2016, according to my Spotify. And yeah, as I said, like I really love Chewing Gum, but I hadn't done much exploring beyond that. She's often described as the Norwegian Kylie.
Yeah, it's a bit lazy.
Yeah, I think there's more variety. And she herself says like her music is pop with strange edges, and it's like, yeah, sure. Oh yeah, that's a noughties singer that you might have missed out in the pink list, Kylie.
Just 90s.
I mean, she's well, Can't Get You Out of My Head was noughties, right? And I didn't know that she'd opened for our previous guests, Saint Etienne, at one point. Because she sent them a demo tape when she was still in an indie band called Suitcase in 1996.
There's a Swedish band called The Teddy Bears who have a great single called Yours to Keep that she does the vocals to, and I've been listening to that song for 20 years and I never ever knew who
it was her,
because it doesn't say like featuring Annie, it just has the song. Starting off with Dark Heart. Yeah, this reminds me of the band Metric from Canada.
Of course I do.
Yeah, it still has that Annie sound.
Yeah, Metric, especially like that, she has a very Emily What's Her Face has a very specific voice, whereas Annie has her specific voice.
But I don't know. I think she hadn't made an album for, is it like maybe 11 years or something, which is a big gap. It's probably why everyone forgot about her. But yeah, I think she's had like 2 children in between the second and third album. But yeah, this didn't jump out to me at all. I thought maybe it would be like, maybe like a modern version of the Chewing Gum era, since it had been over 15 years, but it wasn't encapsulated. The album again wasn't amazing for me. I was expecting that I was gonna to be reintroduced to this amazing pop star from the noughties, but yeah, this wasn't a great start for me. How about you?
Just to ask, did you listen to all of her albums as part of preparation for this?
I didn't listen. I listened to a couple of singles, but I didn't listen to all of the albums. And if I did, it was 3 months ago. But I think I forgot.
No, you can't remember. I watched all the music videos and then forgot and had to go and watch them again as well. So yes, like you, I was not really feeling this song, but actually, after she sings "Dark Dark Hurts" and all the din dim bun dim since coming, I was like, oh, okay, there's a bit more of a groove, but it's not consistent at all. I would have liked that sound, I think, more throughout the songs. I again think this is a perfect Eurovision song, even before the key change. A perfect Eurovision song. And I quite like the beating hearts at the end. Our Genius says it's inspired by French electro, and his vocals carry dark sentiments in the dreamiest of tones. And she said it's an inquiry into family relations and the ongoing question of hereditary environment. If you always end up in trouble, is it related to your family in the past? Or is it simply because you always make fucked up choices? No matter what, it's got the bass.
We need to talk about Kevin.
Yeah.
We need to talk about Annie.
Yeah. Hey. Ding, ding, ding.
Moving on to Me Plus One 2004 with the top 10 album in Norway. And this was the Richard X and Hannah Robinson single, which was about Jerry Halliwell is the gossip.
The wannabe senorita, yeah.
But yeah, this is more electro in the style of like French electro pop, a little bit Daft Punk, a little bit air with
Yes,
sweet
I also like Daft
vocals.
Punk.
Yeah, it's got a slightly annoying talking section. I'm not a big fan of talking. I've been arguing with Pulp fans recently because I don't like the song I Spy, and I just don't like people having a chat during the song.
But this, I think this is a differentiator. Do you not like people spelling things out? Because I love it when I love spelling on a song.
What
especially
like Chappelle Roan with H-O-U-T.
H-O-T-T-O-T-O B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Okay, yeah. To be fair,
like
spelling
Hot
can work.
Chip, whatever Hot Chip are doing on that song that I can't remember now at the end, the one that goes on for ages.
And Justice.
Yeah, D-A-N-C-E. Listen, we all learn.
We like a spelling bee, but I still like a chat.
Do you know, I still haven't seen that film with Kiki Palmer and Lawrence Fishburne about spelling. Like one from back in the day.
But
that's as you're a film person, I was like, I think you're going to get this reference, and you did, and I'm glad.
But I've written down, I don't notice her singing in a Norwegian accent when she talks.
In this one, maybe not. I think every now and again in other songs you do, but it's very subtle. But I mean, so many Scandinavian Nordic singers you barely notice. They sound American often.
So what's your thoughts on this track?
I adore this song. So I did know it, but I'd kind of forgotten about it because I think I'd done further listening on Animal, but I really got stuck on Chewing Gum, ironically. I like all the layers of vocals and how they make up most of the bridge. I quite like the spoken section and the spelling. I love, I've written the drama of the song because, it's the Jerry Halliwell thing. Because, it wasn't that, they'd written a song called Some Girls for Rachel Stevens. And, Simon Fuller said that he'd give it to Stevens because Richard Curtis wanted it for the Sport Relief 2004. We're going back in time. And she was annoyed. And I'm like, it's a bit bitchy. And also it's a bit like, I feel like 2000s feminism, right? And as is another song coming up on the playlist. So I'm like, I wish it was about something else, as much as I love spelling out beautiful and difficult. But no, I think it's a delicious electro pop, and I love it.
Does Richard X still produce people? Do you know much about Richard X?
Well, I've seen the Trash Theory video on Richard X. Yes, that was a while ago, so I can't remember everything else. I mean, I haven't heard about him in a while. I feel like I do hear of him mostly in the context of Khalees and Liberty X.
Because we had William Orbit for 2 or 3 years, and suddenly Richard X came along.
I follow him on Facebook, I think, of all places, and he's quite entertaining.
What, William Orbit?
Okay. William Orbit, yeah. I can't see anything after 2000. Oh no, hang on. Oh, so he did a song for Bananarama's in stereo, Love in Stereo. He did Band of Skulls.
Really?
And Will Young. Wow, this was all in 2019. So I think the last song on Wikipedia is the Richard X edit of Annie's song American Cars. So there we go. We didn't know what we were talking about.
Well, if you're listening, Richard, how you doing? So
reach out.
And Hannah Robinson, do you know who she is?
No, but I looked her up, and I saw that she co-wrote My Delirium by Lady Hawk, as we've discussed, and she's co-written for lots of other artists, including Lana Del Rey, Metro Boomin, and Steps. And I'm like, that is quite a broad range of people. So I
put down that Annie has quite a lot in common with Lady Hawk.
Yes, I think so too. Like mixing of genres and eras.
And also big gaps between albums.
But does Lady Hawk spell as much? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Song reminds me of You, 2009, another Richard X and Hannah Robinson collaboration. This is a dance floor banger, as heard on Sex and the City 2. We've all heard that.
Yep.
It is the Cat's Whiskers. It's everything I want from a pop dance floor track. I'm a fan of the drum fills, and mentioning a radio is always a good clue to being a hit. If you say dance to the radio or
On my radio,
play with someone's radio, it's gonna work.
When Selector play, you are down at the front for their main hit, aren't you?
Yeah, the video's a bit minimal.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she doesn't get promoted that well, does she? Really, I think she said that she never really fit in with that era because she didn't like to do dance routines, didn't feel comfortable.
But she
posing.
is in between an indie star and a pop star, so I think that's difficult to market, right?
But yeah, I think I'm surprised this was not a huge hit. This was 2009. Did not know this came out at all. So it's a bit of a shame, and yeah, a bit of a waste of a song. It'd be nice if it could get re-released or someone to push it. But yeah, this is one of the lost tracks of the noughties. Maybe. What are your thoughts?
This one didn't chime with me as quickly as Me Plus One.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I dislike it as much as Dark Hearts, but for me, it's on a parallel because it's one where I've actually listened to it quite a few times, but I struggle to remember it. For me, it doesn't stay in my mind, but I did enjoy the music video and the outfits, and I was really trying hard to work out what it was that it was sampling, and it's got to be Mel and Kim, right? The it's getting fresh at the weekend. Yeah. I thought it was Pet Shop Boys at the beginning, and I was like, no, hang on, what is this? And I think I had to go down like YouTube,
Aiken Waterman sort of sound.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is a great idea. It's a great idea to sample, Annie's clearly influenced by the 80s, so it makes sense to sample that. So yeah, I think I don't dislike it, but it just didn't really make its mark with me as much.
And did I Know Your Girlfriend Hates Me 2008? Did that make a mark again with Richard X and Hannah Robinson? And interesting, you mentioned Saint Etienne because I put down this sounds like Saint Etienne covering Prince.
Well, there we go.
This was a massive flop. Got to number 58 in UK charts. It's not on an album. Sonically, it sounds a little bit like chewing gum. I think maybe.
Yes. Oh my God, I've written this is Chewing Gum Part 2. Yeah.
Again, I said, if this was a song by Kylie Minogue, this would have been a hit. But yeah, massive flop. Yeah, again, bit of a shame really. But yeah, I guess you maybe agreed with me in some ways.
Yeah. I really love this song. I love her delicate but very controlled falsetto vocals, and it has everything that I loved about Me Plus One: vocal layers, synths, grooves, and the same 2000s feminism, right? And yeah, I mean, she herself said that it was inspired by Kiss, and the lyrics are based on a friend of hers who was, quote, a really beautiful girl, always surrounded by loads of guys. And yeah, it's been featured on Wild Child and bizarrely several episodes of Waterloo Road.
Several,
not just one.
Waterloo Road, there's lots of fucking weird TV shows.
I don't think I've seen more than a minute of it.
All I know is that the cast keeps changing weekly. I think Jason Manford's now in it.
Oh, well, there we go. Have you seen the music video of this song?
No, I think I might have back in July, but yeah, not since. I can't remember.
It's very surreal because it's Annie in black or sometimes pink, surrounded, or actually like lots of different colors, surrounded by women in black dresses in the background dancing behind it. It feels like it's the wrong style of music video for the kind of song that this is. It should be a bit more like storytelling, a bit more cheeky than a bit arty.
Does it feel cheap? Is there money behind it, or
no? It feels cheap. I mean, literally, like I've just gone. I've just gone on it now, and there's an image that says promo only on the video. But maybe I've gone on to the low version one or something. But I do enjoy that there's only 2 comments because it's like some clearly like pirate version. So one comment is, this isn't on Spotify and it kills me inside, and then people going, no, it is. And then one person that just said ring-a-ding.
I'm not a fan of the ring-a-dings.
Ring-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-ding-ding.
It's a bit Crazy Frog. Ring-a-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding. So finally, we end with Heartbeat from the debut album, produced by her native Worksop. Is that how you pronounce it? Worksop?
Yes, I think they're also from Bergen, where she's from, right? Yeah. Where I have visited.
I'm a fan of the band.
Me too. And I saw them live last year at Best Kept Secret, and they were excellent.
Usually collaborating with Robin, aren't they? The old Worksop. But yeah,
the old
A delightful, airy Nordic pop song, gentle, but with a pumping indie drum and bass and a beautiful chorus. Pitchfork, #1 single of 2004, which I thought was surprising considering Pitchfork hate a lot of things I like usually is to go-to method. But yeah, this is a great track, and I should probably listen to the debut album again and again. Did you listen to it a few times?
I think I listened to it through for
Yeah.
the first time in a while, and yeah, it is very
Still
good.
works.
And yeah, not only did Pitchfork do that, the publication then listed the song at number 17 on its top 500 songs of the 2000s.
Wow.
That is quite an accolade. So this song, I had it saved, but I honestly couldn't remember it. The first few times I listened to it, again, I wasn't really into it. I thought like, okay, this is, but it's quite clever how it does start minimal and then there's the storytelling and the way it builds. But actually on repeated listenings, I got really, really into this song. And again, because we'd initially planned to record this a while ago, this also made it on my most listened to of the month. Like
Oh, wow.
yeah, but it wasn't immediate. I think because it starts so softly and gently. It isn't bombastic, right? And sometimes with me, you know, I have a literally bad attention span. So if it doesn't grab me, it might take a while. But I'm really glad this was picked and that I persisted with it because yeah, I do think it is quite a beautiful song. And again, just her controlled falsetto, like she goes so high and it's so beautiful. Her range is incredible. But what I found interesting as well is that all the comments on the YouTube video that I could see, so the YouTube video was published 8 years ago, up from last year. I think it was in the film, which is on my Netflix list, but I haven't seen it. Good Grief, you know, the Dan Levy film.
I've not seen it. No.
So it's Dan Levy and I want to say Ruth Negga, but I'm not sure. You know, Dominic Cooper's girlfriend.
No, I have seen it. So I forgot all about it. I think it was.
So you don't remember this song in it then?
I don't think I even finished it. I think there's a lot of like Netflix films that just meander from it for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I rarely watch films on Netflix. Like I think Netflix is great for TV series and stand-up specials. But films, yeah, I now generally go elsewhere.
We've kind of dropped some hints that whilst talking about Annie, why we think she wasn't the big star that they thought she was going to be. But is it that she just didn't fit in? She was like, you know, a foot in each camp, indie, dance, pop. But yeah.
I think so, because I think she's maybe not pop enough to be pop. And I mean, I don't mean that looks wise or anything. Like she's gorgeous. She clearly like is into fashion and looks or you know, had stylists who did. But that's it. I think she was somewhere in the middle. And I think, yeah, if you're an A&R who's a soul-sucking A&R, I'm thinking of, have you read Kill Your Friends by John Niven, which is about a record company executive?
I've seen the shit film.
The shit. Okay, don't put the film out of your mind and go read it. But the book is very good. It's nasty and dark. Yeah. Very nasty and dark, really unrelenting, but you know, in a good way. And I mean, this was the era of much more music tribalism. So even though she probably sounded similar to other bands, like I was thinking today of another band that I think is underrated, like Late of the Pier. Do you know the band We Have Band? Have we talked about them before? I think they're also in this kind of like pop with a bit of guitar, pleasing era. And yeah, I saw them I think in 2012 and they were absolutely fantastic. And they have a song called Honey Trap, which yeah, I really want to make a playlist of like songs that are very addictive that I can't just listen to once when I listen to them. But anyway, I think yeah, because she is this kind of again feminine, girly looking person. Probably if you're like I probably was back in the day, you know, I wouldn't have identified as much with her as I would with, you know, someone like pre-Electro Little Boots with her side fringe. So,
I wonder,
yeah,
with the ageist pop scene, she was 27 when like her album came out, the first album. So she would have been maybe 5 or 6 years older than other pop stars. Could that be a thing?
Definitely. I mean, we've talked about the drama that was when Sinead from Bewitched. It turns out she was like 6 years older than the rest of them. I remember, and I was like, "What is that?" So I think it was like the others were 18, 19, 21, and she was 27, and it's like, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck, really?
So yeah, I mean, it's crazy that I only know one song, really, given how decent this playlist was. There's only one song I didn't really like. Yeah, not a fan of the third album, but the first, second album's very nice indeed.
The first album is a very good pop album, and if people like pop with an indie edge, because there definitely is an indie edge to this, and very good production from Richard X and others, absolutely check it out. Thank you, Pop Underrated, for putting Annie forward and for your playlist.
And she's definitely, for me, underrated.
Definitely underrated. 100% underrated. Because even having not really gone beyond that first album, I'm like, but the fact that that album is so good, and when was like, I don't think we might have once upon a time talked about chewing gum, and that's it. I mean, it sounds like her songs do get licensed for a lot of TV shows, which is great because she has a sound, that I think a lot of people would want for. Well, now that Strictly is back, do you think we'll see a chewing gum, chewing gum? I don't know, salsa. What would it be?
I think she's done anything recently. Oh, okay.
I follow her on Instagram.
So it released a trance-influenced single last month.
Oh, there we go.
The Sky is Blue.
There we go. We've
including
got
a picture disc.
Oh, lovely stuff.
So yes, he's still making music. So check out, guys. Yeah, Animal, 20 years old. Give it a listen.
That's due for a reissue, surely.
So her debut album got to number 101 in the UK charts. So,
shocking.
Massive flop. It's
shocking.
Top 10 in Norway, which is something. But yeah, wow.
That's really, like, the music is so good. The music is so good and fits right in the era. And yeah, what a shame.
And the fact that chewing gum was, to me, like a big radio hit. I'm surprised it didn't sell any albums.
See, for me, it wasn't.
Okay.
I don't think I remember chewing gum at the time. I think I discovered Annie when I discovered her in 2016 probably from Spotify or from someone else talking about her.
It's a top 30 single in the UK, top 10 in Norway.
It's interesting that you can remember it and you felt like it was everywhere.
Anything else you'd like to add to this short podcast on pop music?
I suppose that I'm glad that we're living in more genreless times, and that it gives me hope that, as I said with Heartbeat, how so many comments are from a year ago. What is nice about the modern age? Like, okay, so it does feel like pop music can feel very disposable. Like, I was thinking about the fact how, like, I can't really remember what I was listening to 3 or 4 months ago anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because just things move so quickly. But then you do see stuff about how, like, I don't know, Stranger Running Up That Hill becomes a big hit because of one TV show. I feel like Annie is absolutely ripe for someone to kind of take a song, if not do a dance, like put her song over something or share a reel from Good Grief or whatever it is, for the picking. So guys, check out old music, I suppose.
Interesting discussing old music and sync tracks like Kate Bush. Do you know Heaven 17?
Oh yes.
So
I've never been closer.
So I don't know what song it was. It may have been Temptation. So Grand Theft Auto 6, which Grand Theft Auto being one of the biggest computer games of all time, approached Heaven 17 to put a track on their new video game and offered $10,000 for it, and the lead singer of Heaven 17 said "fuck off," basically. And loads of people were going, "Are you fucking crazy? This should be heard by billions of people." And it's interesting. It's like, yeah.
Did he give a reason?
No, well, he just said that he knows his worth, and there's worth more than $10,000 for one sync song track. I was trying to work out how many plays on Spotify would equal 10,000 to actually make it worthwhile. And
I mean, he has a point, right? Of like, I'm sure that they can, depending, especially if it's Temptation. Those companies have money, and traditionally companies like that love to kind of gouge artists. But yeah, that is interesting.
Because I wonder how much money has Kate Bush done from Stranger Things. Or has he sold many albums? Of course, he's not touring. So it'd be interesting to know how well she's done to the back of it. Yeah, so it's just, I was surprised because I guess all of the Grand Theft Auto fans are maybe under 30 and they think it's mad that you wouldn't want to be big on Spotify.
I think attitudes have also changed, right? It's like how in the 90s it's like doing an advert, what the hell? And now we've got, brand new collaborations. Although, moving back to that, I really liked, as someone who works in sustainable fashion, I found it very funny how Charlie XCX has done a collab with H&M and she's getting criticized for it, which I think is good, TBH. and how Chapel Roan said that she got approached and she was like, no, like, why the hell would I want to do that? I don't want H&M. So I'm like, interesting how, like, there are, there's differences of opinion here. See you next time, guys.
Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. Let us know if you think Pink is over or underrated. Same with Annie. We are on social media at OU Music Pod on Twitter, X, Overunderrated Music Pod on Instagram and Threads. And you can even email us at overunderatedmusicpod@gmail.com. We will also be happy to listen to any suggestions or any of your favourite gigs, your favourite bands of the noughties, 80s, 70s. Just get in touch. It's great to hear from you. Like and subscribe, tell your friends, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.